Michelle, and thanks Liesl, and obviously also thank you to Congressman Landrigan for supporting cybersecurity as an issue. Thanks very much also to TechAmerica for hosting this together with the Congressional Cybersecurity Caucus. I appreciate it. I'm going to talk about issues from a slightly different point of view. I'm more of a network person than a system person, so clearly there's a potential weakness in cybersecurity at many levels. You've heard Michelle talk about some of the threats and challenges for enterprises. We'll hear about end users in a short while. And there's also an issue around the changing nature of the threat landscape, Michelle mentioned. While I also see benefits of the movement to the cloud, I'm concerned that we don't really understand, we really aren't prepared for additional risks that come out of the cloud. It's especially true when you look at the underlying infrastructure. Many of the members of TechAmerica are involved in actually running and operating that critical infrastructure, or plumbing to the internet. And the challenges that we see are very different. The core switches, the routers, and the circuits themselves that enable all the innovation are becoming much more visible as targets, especially as we are more successful in protecting the endpoints. The enemy, per se, begins to understand that if you attack the infrastructure, it doesn't matter what you have from an endpoint point of view. Some of the recent examples of this that I'm sure many of you are aware of, if you recall, in April of last year, Chinese ISP originated the routes, we don't really know the reasons for about 10% of all the routes on the internet. And they did that for about 17 months. And during that period, when they effectively announced to the internet that they were the correct path to literally 10% of routes on the internet, if you were in the wrong area, your traffic transited China. There was nothing you could do about it. You probably didn't even know that it was happening. And you may not have noticed any effects of it. But theoretically, it was possible during that period for the ISPs in the path to be able to examine traffic and potentially store it and even modify traffic on its way to the endpoints without anyone knowing it was happening. So it's a real weakness, and it's something that actually the end users could do nothing about. Those that could recognize it were unable to do anything about it. The protocols just don't allow us today to actually do anything about that. The routing is really based on rumors and trust. It wasn't a once-only event, by the way. It's happened a number of times over the years. It's become more frequent, and since the Chinese incident in April of last year, there have been a number of incidents where the cyber criminals are now using the same mechanism for announcing address space that either that is not used by anyone, or is actually used by people, or is assigned to people who want to actually make use of an everyday networking. And they announce it for very short periods of time, commit their crimes, and then disappear. And there's once again nothing we can do about it. It's really like playing whack-a-mole. It was also used in the last few weeks to reroute traffic meant for Facebook. A number of people who head to Facebook here in the U.S., their traffic for a period of time actually went via China. You can decide on what the reasons were. We were sure that it was an error. But there have been a number of errors that are almost identical over the last couple of years. So at some point, it may not be an error. Another key area, and one that's of particular interest to me, is DNS, or the domain name system, where we deal with issues of cache policing. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, the DNS, or the domain name system, is the point at which computers translate domain names into IP addresses so they can be routed. And in that particular area, it's possible, based on either weaknesses in software or in fundamental protocol problems, for IP addresses to be modified or to be forged for a well-known domain name, for example, a bank. So from the end user point of view, you may think that you're actually on your bank's website. You may actually see things that you expect, You may even have that green bar at the top and the lock on the bottom that tells you you're connected to your bank. But you may actually be connected to your bank via someone else's computer. They operate as a man in the middle. They have full visibility into your transaction. And once you disconnect, they can continue the banking session and transfer money out of your account. A year and a half ago, we were involved in the arrest of a number of Russians and Ukrainians. You may remember around something called Zeus. That's precisely what they were doing. And DNS changing or DNS cache voicing was part of the demo. And they were responsible for $150 million in successful thefts from small businesses in the U.S. in 2009, 2010. They continue to be in business. What's important about all of these events is that there's very little that can be done by the end users of the enterprises. This is a fundamental network problem that we are trying to solve from a protocol point of view. The technical community has been working to solve it for, I've been involved for about 12 years now. Those of you who've heard of DNSSEC, DNSSEC is from the late 90s. And we're still not there yet. We're getting close, but it's not yet there. We have the same problem with internet routes. We have to solve that problem as well. So we're a little ways away from it. There is funding that comes from the federal government via DHS, S&T, through MTIA to actually work on these issues. But we need more of it. It's an issue that will affect everyone, and there's not much we can do about it. So with that, I'll wait till the end to answer questions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.